Welcome back everyone, it's time for an emergency edition of the Warcraft news because Blizzard listened. At the end of this video, I expressed disappointment in quality, but I said I was at least optimistic, right? Optimistic that the game's new leadership tends to learn and tends to try to act. And so far it seems they've done that. Today I'm going to walk you through the Bronze Anniversary token changes, which have a humongous impact and will allow you to unlock ungated earnings this week. There's also a giant Mythic Plus change that should improve win rates, time walking changes, the Ansarek nerf, and quite a bit more, so let's get into it. Blizzard have increased numerous Bronze Anniversary token sources by up to 8 times. This is gigantic, but it leaves the actual event out in a weird way. So first, your main Khazalgar Weekly, which can be the Faerun one, Archives, or Delves, and those spawn every fortnight so that there's always at least one of them up, well, those will now drop 10 tokens up from 3. All the other standard activities drop 8, up from 1. That means the Theater Troop, Awakening the Machine, Rolling Down the Deeps, Spreading the Light, the Severed Threads Pact, as well as the 3 PvP Honored Weeklies, the Khazalgar World Boss, and the 2 Special Assignment World Quests. So those will all drop 8 each. But of course that's not all. Queen Ansarek now drops 15, as does the Rated PvP quest, and of course the bonus week events, which are like the Time Walking quest, the World Quest, the Dungeon quest, the Delves quest, those drop 10. So that means that in total you can get 138 tokens a week from your Khazalgar Weeklies, which it was just quite a lot. Quite a lot because the previous maximum was 17, so it's almost an entire order of magnitude. Now, the existing anniversary events are curiously untouched. They'll still award only 3 per week. Also, I should say the Guest Relations questline is now out. There are 3 quests there that award 2 each, and each crate activity now awards 5. Now, to say this is gigantic would be an understatement, especially because this means you can immediately unlock the 100 token achievement. That's the one that allows for ungated token farming across your whole warband. And the numbers for that are pretty good. Time Walking Dungeons and Codex of Chromie will give you 2 tokens a run. World bosses are 1 per boss, but that's on a daily lockout and it's per character, so 6 per day per character. Then you've got the 4 Corax dailies, which are 3 tokens per day per character, and again, you can do that again in your alts. And then there's Blackrock Depths, where bosses are worth 3 and mini bosses are worth 2, for a total of 34 for an entire clear, and those are on separate difficulty, so you can do it in normal and LFR, and between doing just those 2, you'll get 68 tokens. Pretty crazy, and I can see myself earning at least 80 tokens a week with ease here. And that's not the only thing, because also, here's today's bollock-saving sponsor. We're Manscaped, and today we're going to be talking about beards because they have got the right tools to make upkeep easy. And it's all centered around this, which is the Beard Hedger Trimmer. The blade angle on this thing is just right. The titanium blades will last, the motor powers through the job, and with one guard, you pretty much can go through 20 settings, which is awesome. It's cordless, waterproof, and rechargeable with USB-C, which honestly these days for me is just a requirement. Basically, it's everything that I want, it is dead handy, and there's actually more. Here we've got the Pro Kit, which has got the shampoo, conditioner, oil, and balm. Now you can use the shampoo and the conditioner to clean and soften your beard, so you've got a good basis to work on, and then once you're trimmed up, you can use the oil and the balm to just keep everything nice, held together, and looking sharp. And that's really the point. This is one box that will let you sort out your facial hair. They're even popping in a brush, a comb, and scissors for free, and if you use my code WARCRAFT, you'll actually get 20% off and free international shipping. Yes, international. So, simple as that. Check them out down below. Let's get into the video. Okay, Mythic Plus then. It's no secret that M Plus has been controversial in this season, especially as you go up the key levels, and that's for 3 main reasons. First, the dungeons and their mechanics. Second, Challenger's Peril, which changes the death penalty to be 15 seconds. And third, the lovely combination of both Fortified and Tyrannical at plus 10, and then Xal'atath's Guile at plus 12. Both of those lead to increased lethality, and that of course makes the additional death penalty sting a lot more. And it's the death penalty that is actually seeing some change in the next reset. The 15-second penalty part of Challenger's Peril will remain, but Challenger's Peril will now increase the dungeon timer by 90 seconds. So Blizzard essentially wants to keep the same precision of gameplay, but they're giving you wiggle room in the form of 6 free deaths per dungeon. Fairly interesting, and to see the impact of this, we'll have to wait about a week. That's because Blizzard's API gives us tremendous insight into dungeon runs, so once the data's in, we'll be able to see how completion rates change as you go up the Keystone level. Next then, we've got Ansarek and BRD. So, Ansarek Heroic is being nerfed again definitely makes me glad that we got ahead of the curve before the nerfs came in, but it does seem like for many, Ansarek was a sore spot, especially phase 1. So what's happened with her is that the first Silken Tomb cast in her final cycle has been removed, with the Webblades cast being basically moved to work with that change. And this is quite interesting because it basically takes out the double tap you get at the end, where back to back there are two pretty damn close tombs. Now for our group, that was kind of completely fine, and this really seems to be a group comp thing. As an example, we've got 3 paladins, myself included, which means we can all do Blessing of Freedom, and that, with the right talent, will free 6 people in total between the 3 paladins. That's really good. Combined with other utility, we can mostly mitigate the first 2 tombs, which then means for the final one, we just stack AoE and clear it with no bother. But it does seem if you don't have that abundance of group utility, you'll just end up struggling and falling behind. And I've got to imagine that us being able to deal with that mechanic so efficiently just meant we got more DPS uptime on her in phase 1, which really would help out our sustain when we get into the final phase. So they've changed that, and they've also made it so the Grasping Silk's damage is down 25% and Gloom Blast is down 15%. So, expect many more kills of her, but that's actually not all, because Blackrock Depths has been nerfed yet again. In fairness, the BRD Heroic launch tuning was, well, they were both wild. Heroic really did feel wild. So, on top of the recent targeted nerfs, there are now 11 and 11.3% nerfs to everything on normal and heroic. I'm sure that final 0.3% will make all the difference. But next, there's another bit of content that technically is getting harder, and it's time-walking dungeons, but really only at level 80. And don't worry, these are still going to be a completely easy cakewalk, but Blizzard found that the scaling trivialized them, and to be honest, I actually agree from gameplay. Now, this is probably part of them scrapping the old time-walking scaling system in favor of time-walking using the Chromie time system. The upshot of the change, though, is that at eye level 541, the numbers will be the same as they are now, but at eye level 620, HP is up 57% and damage is up 51%, and I totally get people are going to see that and think, oh my god, it's the fun place again, Ian Hazakostas is just here to ruin my day. I actually don't think it's that. I really don't. From my experience doing classic time walking at level 80, it's just broken to the point where you barely even see any of the fights. I want a bit more texture in it. I think this is completely fine. If anything, this just gives me more evidence that the 11.05 patch went live too early. Like, it just went live before BRD, classes, and loads of things were finished tuning. And speaking of classes, we've got more class updates. I've got to kick it off with good news for Elemental Shamans. Your gigantic nerfs are actually going to go live in a less gigantic form, which is pretty good. Blizzard planned to nerf 2 effects that increased your elemental overload damage. Those were Echo Chamber and Ascendance, and those were going to go from 40% to 20% and 150% to 100%, but those changes are now scrapped, so yeah. Good. On top of that, Blizzard also implemented a range of bug fixes. This is impacting both throughput things and also animation things. And then Wowhead data mined loads of undocumented class changes, as well as a decrease to Warrior's Execute buff, which is going to be 7% rather than 10%. But basically, there's been loads of change. We'll just need to let it go live and actually see how it shakes out in real circumstances this week. And I'd expect 1 or 2 more waves of tuning after that. And then the next thing to talk about is November's trading post, because it's massive. You're going to spend a lot of tokens. So the class armor and weapon sets are returning, but they've no longer got class restrictions. They will just have a armor type restriction. So as an example, your paladin can wear the warrior stuff. Now, the last time these were here, the armor sets cost 450 while the weapons cost 500. So all in, that's a rather juicy 12,350 tokens, though this month's bar is being extended by 500 tokens for a total of 1,500, which is nice, but nowhere near enough to offset the costs. Now, there's other cool things too. We've got the Prowler's Violet headgear and some similar items, which are a recolor of what we just saw this Hallow's End with some of the new sets there, as well as the Dalaran Mage theme set, and for 850, a full Sylvanas armor set, which really does look quite nice. Then there's this Troll Bow, which is pretty neat, and a Varian Rin Gladiator-themed greatsword, plus the completion reward being these 4 back pieces, which are designed around the Warcraft 3 faction emblems. But you know what? There's a conspiracy theory there, so I'll get into that. I mentioned it a little bit ago, but Warcraft 3 Reforged version 2.0 appeared on like a Blizzard test server and then quickly unappeared. Now, of course, there's Warcraft Direct on the 13th of November, and in the blog post announcing that, they called out Warcraft Orcs and Humans. So if you really wanted to go all like Charlie Kelly on it, you could say that that was them saying hello to the RTS audience and that we've just seen evidence they're working in something. Now, technically, maybe a version 2.0 of Reforged, I do doubt it would be anything super expensive to like actually develop though. Anyway, the fun doesn't stop because it's time to talk about Mountain Dew and Swift Spectral Tigers. Yes, gamers, we've got new consumption opportunities. So, over in America, there's another Mountain Dew promo, and honestly, it sucks because it's US only, and you get this pretty cool looking Legion bike as well as some other rewards. So, the thing is, you can't get someone in the US to just give you a code because the way it works is you need to have US proof of address. So, yeah. Cool, thanks, that blows. As does this, a flying Swift Spectral Tiger. It costs a cool 265 USD, but this is going on in China, right? So this means it's not done by Central Blizzard, it's done by NetEase, running their own localized version of World of Warcraft. But, I mean, they're going to be able to share data, right, with America, and after the Brutosaur happening, I don't like it, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And that kind of sucks. And given everything I've seen in-game since Algalon the Observer, it's also not surprising the Titans have been a little bit sus. And if you'd like to learn more about that, check out this video next, diving into the Manifold and the new Titan lore that we've learnt just recently in this expansion.